Hey Ramblers, this video we're going to cover the applications or the algebraic applications of properties and theorems dealing with congruent complements, congruent supplements, same complement, same supplement, addition, subtraction. And so we'll work through 4 examples just so you get a hang of how to do these problems and so that you can apply them to the homework and on the assessments. All right, let's take a look at the first example. So let's say we're given that MK is congruent to TQ. What conclusion can we draw, and what's the reason for that? Well, by marking the diagram, we know that MK and TQ are congruent. So that means by addition, if we were to add KT to both of them, we'd have the conclusion that MT is congruent to TQ. And what's the reason? That will be addition of the same segment. All right, now suppose we were given some additional information in this problem. Suppose they told us that MT was equal to 9x minus 3 and that KQ was equal to 7x plus 5. And they wanted us to find MT. Why don't you try pausing the video and see if you can solve that, and then I'll walk you through the solution. Okay, well, since we know that MT and KQ are congruent because of our conclusion, we can set those two expressions equal to each other and say that 9x minus 3 equals 7x plus 5. So doing some quick algebra, we see that 2x equals 8, and so x equals 4. If they want us to find MT, it's as simple as plugging in. So MT equals 9 times 4 minus 3, which is going to be 33. All right, let's take a look at another example. Okay, suppose we were given this diagram with the given information that AB was congruent to DE and BC was congruent to EF. Can we find AB? So let's pause the video for a minute and see if you can draw a conclusion from this diagram and the given information, and what's the reason? Okay, hopefully you marked the diagram and saw that AB and DE are congruent, and BC and EF. Therefore, the conclusion should be that AC is congruent to DF, and that's by addition of congruent segments. Okay, so how can we use that information to solve for AB? Well, once again, let's mark up the diagram, and we know that AC is 15x plus 6, and DF, they tell us, is 12x plus 15. So since we concluded that those two segments are congruent, we can set them equal to each other and solve. When you do that, you see that x equals 3. So how do we find AB? Because that's what the question's asking for. Well, we know that AC equals 15x plus 6. And since x equals 3, that's just going to be 51. They tell us in the original givens that BC equals 12, so all we have to do is subtract BC and we'll get 39, which is going to be the length of AB. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this next problem, they tell us that angle A is comp to angle B, angle C is comp to angle B. So pause the video quickly and see what conclusion you can draw and what is the reason for that conclusion. Okay, hopefully you saw that angle A is congruent to angle C because if two angles are complementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. All right, so how can we use that information to find the measure of angle B? So we know that since angle A is congruent to angle C from our conclusion, we can set these two angles equal to each other. So 7x plus 8 is going to equal to 5x plus 12. Now we can do some quick algebra, and we see that 2x equals 4, so x equals 2. Now, we can plug back into angle A or angle C, and when we do, we'll get, let's say for angle A, we'll get 7 times 2 plus 8 is 22. And since angle A and angle B are supplementary, as we know from the given, we just need to subtract 22 from 90 in order to find angle B. And so that makes angle B equal to 68 degrees. All right, for our last example, let's say this information here, that angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF, and angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So what conclusions can we draw, and what would the reason be? Please pause the video and come up with your own conclusion and reason. Well, if we mark the diagram with what we know, and we see that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent, and we know that the larger angles are congruent, we can say that angle 3 is congruent to angle 4, and the reason would be subtraction, and that's congruent angles. Okay, now let's extend this problem a bit, and suppose we were told that measure of angle ABC was 7x plus 2, that angle 3 equaled 4x plus 7, and angle 4 equaled 6x minus 3. How could we go about solving to find the measure of angle 2? Well, we're going to have to use our conclusion that angle 3 equals angle 4. So we'll set 4x plus 7 equal to 6x minus 3 and solve. Bringing 4x over and the 3 to the other side, we see that 2x is 10, so x is going to be equal to 5. But the problem is asking us to find the measure of angle 2. So that's this right here. So how can we find it? Well, since they tell us that angle ABC is 7x plus 2, we can use that information because all of this, 7x plus 2 is going to equal 37. So if that entire angle is 37, then we know angle DEF must also be 37. And since angle 4 is going to equal 6x minus 3, that's going to be 27. So it's pretty easy to see that if angle 4 is 27 and angle DEF is 37, the measure of angle 2 is just going to equal 10 degrees. All right, Ramblers, I hope that helps. I hope that sees how you connect these GCRs we've been working on with the algebraic applications that we'll be seeing in the homework. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I hope this helps.